Oh, who do we have back here again? Do you guys miss me? I'm exhausted today. I've been doing a lot. Prosecutors say Alec Baldwin was engaged in horseplay with gun before fatal shooting. Wasn't my cartoon like spot on with this bang bang? No, it was supposed to say bang in the caption, and then when I seen it, I was like, I'll just let everybody write in whatever they want, what he's saying. You could just add in what a jerk him saying stupid stuff. Yeah, like this story's not funny at all. It when some of this stuff came out on the first case, it was pretty clear to me that it was Alec's fault. Like mainly because he bullies women, so he brags about that. And then he already knew that he was gonna have to do some public correction, like putting on a new mask on his face, because out of nowhere, like this show comes out, or they're about to do a show, this reality show. I'm like, this is such bullshit. He's trying to present himself like he's some submissive guy to his wife. This is nonsense. Like, I don't know what, not this bullshit right here. Anyway, he's bragged for years about him being a bully to women, and he tells women off, and he's like this and that, and he just is totally out and proud about it. And he's a jerk. He's like, I'm not changing. That's how I was raised, y'all. Blah, 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 blah. So he's on set. He's not even respecting other men. Now, his past has always been domestic violence, abuses kids, hit other men. He's been very big on that. He has a long history of being a you-know-what. And so this was almost like you saw it coming, but nobody stopped it. And then a girl dies, right? A woman dies. And so they got some information, and they were saying like the production guy, the other director guy, was pissed off at him because he kept screwing around with the gun and just trying to shoot it off and everything. But there's an addition in this, because now they're saying that he was pointing it at somebody else, or maybe, I don't know. But it goes like this. The actor is due to go to trial over the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins, who was killed on the set of Rust. I honestly, like, the more that I hear the conduct of Alec Baldwin, I'm just looking at the gun girl, the, what do they call them? The weapons girl. I was like, the weapons girl, where's it? Oh, armor. Yeah. The armor. The more that I hear about Alec Baldwin's conduct, the armor was doing her job, but Alec was like, F you, I'm doing whatever the hell I want. And I'm just sitting here going, well, then she has no control over his actions. So why is she in trouble for something that he did? I guess just for the sake of that nobody checked the gun, but I don't know. Nobody knows how this bullet got into the gun. And that's what we're saying in the comments too. Somebody else, they're like, but we don't know how that got into the gun. I'm like, I have no idea. Who was screwing around here? Well, Alec, for sure. Is it possible the armor and some other people were offset? That's very possible that some people were just because they were out in the yonder, that during, like, when they do breaks and whatever, that maybe some people were doing some real shooting, and somehow that happened, or there's some deeper darker thing going on here. I don't know how it happened, because if they said they only found one, I don't know how I don't know. Nobody's really answered it. Anyway, fewer than 3 weeks before the actor Alec is due to go to trial. Okay, they said that he engaged in horseplay with the revolver, including firing a blank round at a crew member on the set of Rust before the tragic accident occurred. It's his conduct. That's what I'm saying. His conduct is so bad. You're not supposed to be doing that. That has nothing to do with the armor. That has to do with him saying F you to her, and I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. Then they go, Baldwin is facing involuntary manslaughter charges in 2021 shooting, death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Okay, so in a new court document, they say they plan to bring new evidence support their case that the 66-year-old actor. He's gone on like this for 66 years since he's a child. Okay, and he's still that child. Okay, and the producer was reckless with firearms while filming on the set and displayed erratic and aggressive behavior during the filming. That created potential safety concerns. That has nothing to do with the armor. Nothing. He's going up and beyond her saying, I ain't listening to you. I'm going to ignore all your safety protocols and everything that you're supposed to be doing with the guns. He's doing it. And so when I was going through the case, I go, yeah, like the whole time it's just him. And in fact, he's in charge of her. She's not in charge of him. She's in charge. Her job is to be hired to teach him to be safe with using those guns, right? Is that correct? Am I wrong? I mean, like I said, the only set that I remember that had guns was when I worked on Magnificent Seven. So when I did Magnificent Seven, there was guns on the set. But I don't recall anything, because I wouldn't even know who the hell the armor was anyway, even when they were there. But that was a very elaborate videotaping for that series that was going on. And but beyond that, no. And so they're only hired to, do that thing. So he's the producer. He's part of the production. So he's the one that can hire and fire people. So he could just sit there and say, hey, you know what? That's nice that you're telling me that. But guess what? I'm not going to do it. And that's exactly what he did. And he went off and did his thing. And then someone died. So it really does lie on him. Then he tried to say he didn't pull the trigger. I mean, this is ridiculous. Okay, so prosecutor in the case, which is due to go to trial on the 10th of July, has previously alleged that to watch Baldwin's conduct on the set of Rust is to witness a man who has absolutely no control of his own emotions and absolutely no concern for how his conduct affects those around him. Yeah, he's a total narcissist sociopath. There you go. In the latest filing, Special Prosecutors Kari and Erlinda alleged that Baldwin pointed his gun and fired a blank round at a crew member while using the crew member as a line of sight as his perceived target. I would not want to be this person. Does anybody get paid enough for this? I've never heard of that. But I don't really know what they do. Like I said, there's not too many shows that had guns around. And so I was trying to reach for anything to compare this to, but I can't imagine them saying, okay, we're gonna have this crew member. Like, I could see them doing it like this. If you're using your hand and not a real gun and trying to reenact the scene to make sure every moment in the moves of the scene are on point, right? Not doing this. You're firing blank rounds at the crew member. And they have video of it. I know there was some incident because they were even saying that they kept telling them to stop, and they stopped taping. And then they rushed him. So they're going to get into this thing. Prosecutors also allege that after he asked for the biggest gun available, the actor used the prop weapon as a pointer directing crew members. As a pointer directing crew members, he's like, you. Oh, God. Fired it after cut was called on a scene. Yes, and I think they have it on tape. Placed his finger on, now this was new, placed his finger on the trigger in scenes that required no shooting. Rushed the film's armor to reload faster. Yeah, so she's doing her job, dude. She's doing her job. And they were trying to say it's her job to tell him off. And I'm like, no, no. And you know what's going to happen. He's not going to listen anyway. And was inattentive during the firearms training. There you go. He didn't pay a goddamn attention. This is typical Alec. I don't know who sits there and tries to defend this guy. This guy's been a jerk since the beginning of time. And you saw it coming. It's like this train wreck. He's beating up on men and getting in trouble all the time, and he makes excuses for it. And then he beats up on his wife. There was the early conduct. And then tells his daughter off. And then does this thing. It's just like this constant cycle of a abusive piece of shit. And then one day somebody dies. And this is his conduct. He deserves the longest time in prison. Honest to God. It's like this accumulation of the shittiness. And this is him. He doesn't care about anybody else but himself. And at least the armor is like trying to fight that thing, but they're not really, maybe she is accountable for some portion of this. I mean, very little in comparison to this conduct right here. Was she doing this? This is major. This is major and a major safety concern. And a whole bunch of people could have got shot. He's sitting there using it as a pointer. I mean, this is insanity. This was the other stuff that hadn't been out. I hadn't heard that. And then it goes, minutes before 911 call was made reporting the shooting of Hutchinson's and director Joel Souza, Baldwin had been photographed manipulating his prop gun and appeared to have his finger inside the trigger guard and his thumb on the hammer. Are you using my cartoon as an example of this? The cartoon is hilarious because it's like I did this like random like he's just going ape shit with this gun, like this thing. And that's exactly what they're claiming he's like did, doing this thing inside the trigger guard and his thumb on the hammer. There he goes. He was screwing around. They also allege that when Russ resumed filming in Montana the following year, Baldwin was insistent that he not be required to follow safety recommendations by the film set safety experts. Why, what? He was insistent that he would not be required to follow safety recommendations. This is the biggest narcissist here ever. It's like, don't follow safety, be a harm to self and others. There you go. Baldwin has pleaded pleaded no guilty. Pleaded no guilty. I think not guilty to involuntary manslaughter charges in the death of Hutchinson during the rehearsal on the set when he aimed a revolver in her direction. The fire, and then the gun fired, and then all this stuff, and he said he didn't pull the trigger, that whole thing. And so there's conduct that he kept doing this actually throughout. In April, Russet's armor, Hannah, was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Now, she's actually quite lucky to only get 18 months. I mean, I don't know if she even deserved that much, but maybe she does deserve a little time. I'm not sure. But Alec's sentencing should be 10 times more than hers. If she's partially guilty, he is more guilty than her because she's not acting in this manner, okay? Because if he was acting in a safe manner and not pointing the gun at humans, this would not have happened at all. Like, it just wouldn't have happened. There may have been an accidental shooting, like a real bullet came out and it went past everybody, right? It's still dangerous, but nobody would have died, right? If he wasn't screwing around and doing all the wrong things. So the main guilt actually falls on Alec, and he really should get in there for about 20 years. That's just my opinion. Like, that's my opinion. Because, I'll tell you, because there was a case that they had out here in Van Nuys with that socialite, right? And she was so reckless, and she killed these two kids. They threw her in there for like 30 years, I think. I don't know. She has this like massive thing for, it was a manslaughter case, and it's actually weird to see it get that many years. It's almost like you should just say first degree murder. Pretty extensive time in prison. And this here is pretty much on the same line. It's like your reckless behavior, and it can cause a death, and you did it anyway, and then someone died. So regardless of the armor, it's his conduct, and so therefore I think he should get a very long sentence. It makes sense for that to happen. So yeah, then he ran out and did this show, and it's like, did anybody want that show? Does anybody out here want a reality show with old, evil, crusty, bald Alec Baldwin? A reality show? Nobody, there's a lot of people that don't even like his wife. I don't know much about his wife, but this bullshit, it's like you're doing this. What's so gross, it's like he's doing it right before this thing coming out, and then the family has to deal with this. I feel bad for them. And then I'm sure he, tried to manipulate them in the early part, and I don't think they were buying it. I don't know what happened here, but because the more that they get this information, it's going to piss off anybody, any victim's family, because this right here would send me through the roof. It said the Hutchins family recently renewed their negligence lawsuit against Baldwin and other producers and crew, contending that Hutchins' death was caused by reckless behavior. Absolutely. But I saw something where they pulled it back. I don't know if they redid something. I don't know what happened here. The fact that live ammunition was allowed on a movie set, that guns and ammunition were left unattended, and that defendant Baldwin inexplicably pointed and fired a gun at Helena makes the case where injury or death was much more than just a possibility. It was a likely result. But him pointing it at humans has nothing to do with the armor. So that's my stance on this, is that she's trying to fight, she was trying to fight to get that thing lowered. I'm just saying she's really lucky it wasn't like a million years in prison. But regardless, if you want to go by that, Alec's sentencing should be way the hell more years. Because regardless if there was an accidental thing happen, there should be so many things in place where, even again, if there was a real bullet in there, it shouldn't have been pointed at a human. And he's trying to say that it was accidental and nobody touched it in this thing. But the truth is, in the story, is that he was consistently being a jackass and pointing it at everybody, ignoring safety protocols and ignoring the training on it and everything. And he thought he's above it all. And his conduct has been really atrocious with women for decades. And so it's just like this thing where it was like, nobody cares about women. And if they did, then we could have stopped an Alec Baldwin a long time ago and nobody would have had to die. But, government, and he's a celeb and he can do whatever the hell he wants. That thing. So that, again, it had nothing to do with the armor. It's his conduct. Baldwin recently announced that he and his wife, along with their 7 children, which is just sad. Can you imagine? I feel bad for 7 kids. Oh my God. Okay, your parents are not a choice. All under the age of 10. This is horrible though too, you guys. All under the age of 10 will star in their own reality show about their family to be broadcast next year. So all their kids are under 10 and you're forcing them onto TV. Did they consent to that? I don't think kids can consent to that kind of thing, can they? This has been in question for years and years and years too. I'm like, you're throwing your kids onto TV for your own stupid app. This is all for Baldwin, just him. I'm going to look like a great daddy with my 10 kids, 7 kids, and his wife, to make you feel sorry for him in some way. Like, please don't throw me in prison for 10 years. I got 7 kids. You know how many people have a bunch of kids and they got to go to prison for life? The decision to make the announcement soon before the Santa Fe trial was criticized as a stunt by celebrity lawyer Gloria. This appears to me to be a calculated and cynical public relations move to try to influence the jury pool in New Mexico to think of him as a sympathetic family man rather than as the killer of Helena Hutchins. Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with that. I go, such a calculated move, because I was like, did anybody want this though? I'm like, how do you get these shows? Like, nobody wants it at all. And it's like, these people in the background are like, you know what, we're just going to force a show on you guys. It's like, is there a demand for this? No. Maybe from his friends,